Hey, what's going on? It's me, Greg Marshall. Today I want to kind of share a unique story lesson that we had with a client that was a learning lesson for all of us, right? And so one of the things that this client was dead set on, they were in the e-commerce space, right? They were dead set on who they thought their actual audience was when we were running their paid ads. They were like, it is definitely this segment of people. I know it's this group. I know it's this. And when I say convinced, I'm talking like digging the heels in, convinced, where there's no way that they would, think otherwise, right? I mean, think about something that you have been so convinced on that no one could ever tell you otherwise, right? So what we did was we started running some tests, and we started going after the audience that they wanted, and I convinced her to start targeting another audience as a test budget. Just a very, very small test budget, right? And then I would make the changes to those ad campaigns to get the best results possible once I see them. Well, as we started doing it, and basically many, many heated conversations back and forth, not in a negative way, but more in like a challenging, we think it should be this way or that way. Lo and behold, we go into the ad account, and the audience that she least expected to win and perform the best actually was crushing it. And the way we came to this realization was she had asked, hey, we're starting to sell a lot of our products. What is working? What exactly have you done, or what are you doing to get these results? And what I ended up demonstrating to her was the audience that she least expected was buying the most and also buying the fastest, right? And this was what was making her the most money. And so with this particular client, she was doing somewhere along the ballpark of $15,000, $20,000 a month. So just kind of getting started with her product business online. And we ended up getting her up to multiple six figures per month running these campaigns, targeting the very people that, quite frankly, I didn't know this audience would win neither. It was just my testing mentality of keep testing and never just assume that you know exactly who's going to buy your stuff, especially if you haven't tested enough and you're kind of in the early stages. And so what this experience taught me is to never assume everyone buys like you or consumes like you, or that you automatically know who the buyer is if you're in your early stages, right? And early stages could still be just, low six figures or maybe a little bit less as you gain traction, right? And so what I really like about this story and what it really taught me was it reinforced the idea of always be open to testing, trying new things, going after audiences that maybe you don't know or think would work, just with that curiosity and discovery type mindset, so that you never know what could really happen, and you could really miss out on some good opportunities if you're not willing to just be open-minded and test and try new things. Because let's just assume if we went down the other path, it was not performing that well, and it actually was a slower response rate, and we didn't get the results that we wanted from that group. And this is a common practice that many people do, is they have an ideal, a person that they want to serve, but it's not the person that's banging their door down for what they have to offer. And if you want to have better results and easier results, and you kind of want to flow with the stream and not upstream, where it's hard and difficult and and expensive because you have to convince people to do things, then take a look at who's beating your door down, right? For something that you have. Typically, there's something in our services or our products that people absolutely love. And if we're listening and we look to see why do they love that, and we have that curiosity mind of, let me explore that a little bit deeper because maybe that's something people would like, there's gold in that. And so I know from marketers, you always hear, pick a niche, only focus on one thing. And that's great advice, but also that advice could be a little bit more relevant based on the stage of your business, right? Or if you're trying to test out new products, right? If it's a new product, a new offering, a new business, then you have to kind of be willing to test everything to find that area where you could actually focus. And here's the thing. A lot of products and services, they ebb and flow. Certain markets will like something at certain times and then cool off later, and then it's a new market that becomes hot, right? So your market can actually ebb and flow. It doesn't mean that whoever you're selling to stays the same forever. And so that's if you have that mentality of knowing things change, markets change, things are always fluid, then make sure that you're always testing and always having an open mind. Because having an open mind in marketing can actually make you a tremendous amount more than having a closed mind. Because if you look at any of the companies, once upon a time, there were companies that used to be big, mighty, and bold, too big to fail. And then what happened? They failed because they were too focused and too narrow, and most of that came through their mindset of being way too closed-minded. So do not let closed-minded thinking halt or stop your growth or prevent you from gaining the momentum you want. Instead, have that abundant mindset and think about testing new ideas and being open, just like you would if you were a kid. When you're a kid, you believed anything is possible. Sometimes we make our way as adults and believe that things can only be a certain way. So I challenge you, go ahead and keep your mind open and look for the opportunities because they're definitely there.